Well, good morning, everybody, and it's now, well, nearly Christmas time, and I'm joined by two Patricks today, Patrick at Farnell Clark and Patrick from Soldo, who will gladly take us through the product, show the demo, and all of the great benefits that the product offers.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to introduce Soldo.
Of course.
We've been working with these guys for a while, and it's great stuff. My name's Patrick Levy. We've got Patrick Hall on the line as well from Soldo. I'm Patrick from the Farnell Clark business performance team. So we're always trying to improve how businesses do things, how they run, and generally make more money. That's the aim. And quite often, conversations come up about cost control and how that can be done, especially where the businesses are growing and they've got employees and they want to be able to delegate the spend out to them for their expenses. So we talk about cost control. We also talk about wanting to make the bookkeeping easier on our side, and this is where Soldo comes in. So they have this great system where you can give cards out to your staff and really control the spend, loading up these cards, and it's very easy to see what's what. And on our side, we can reconcile everything, and it all feeds into Xero. So that's enough from me. I'll hand you over to Patrick Hall from Soldo, and he'll show us the product.
Thank you very much indeed. So thank you. Hello, everyone. What I'm going to basically split up this webinar into is spend the very first part of it talking about Soldo, our history, our journey, what we're trying to achieve with Soldo, and more specifically our partner program. And then we will then go into a little bit of a demo and look at the product of how it works and how you can expect to sort of navigate yourself around Soldo as an end user. If I can get access to start sharing my screen, I will go and take you guys through this. I wonder if Patrick or if you can help me get the ability to do that. So I'm not allowed to do it yet. I cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this will stop the other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? Yes. Right, here we go. Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
So, can you all see my screen? Here we go then. So this is a quick presentation that I'm going to run you through. We'll go through a couple of slides, won't do the whole thing, but the partner program. It's what I look after and head up here at Soldo. Effectively, Soldo was founded in 2015. For the best part of 2 to 3 years, we spent that time building our technology stack. Everything you ever see that has Soldo on it is all owned by us. More recently, we have cleared or finished our Series B funding. So we're now at $81 million, led by Tier 1 VCs. The boring stuff, we're regulated by and authorized by the FCA, as well as the Central Bank of Ireland. And we now have offices in London, Rome, Milan, and Dublin. We've seen a hell of a lot of growth in those years. And now we have a vast number of customers. Some big names, again, but we're not out there just to sort of get just the big names. We also want to make a product that will help and facilitate, your everyday businesses that might be down the road as well. But essentially, the problem that we're trying to tackle is spend management. Why is spend management a problem? Because every company out there, they all face the same challenges that require the delegation of spending power. Typically, when you think about spend management or expenses, it's normally that top left-hand corner that everyone sort of goes to, the travel and entertainment. And to be honest, since joining Soldo, I would have said exactly the same thing. The position we're now in off the back of our large number of customers is that we are seeing far more user cases for Soldo. Some of them like e-commerce purchases. Another one that I really like the look of is online services and SaaS subscriptions, and there's particular bits of functionality and features within Soldo that are specifically useful to that. Another one in the bottom left-hand corner, employee engagement, learning and development, another big piece for us. All of a sudden people can go and spend company money as opposed to having to spend their own money, all via a Soldo company card. It's a fantastic petty cash replacement, but again, I could go on and on for a long time about all the different user cases. The point I'm trying to make is that Soldo is now used 360 throughout businesses for business spending, expense management, you name it, the product works. Our big issue then, or the big thing that we're trying to tackle, is effectively that top right-hand corner, the 1.9 billion in fraudulent expense claims every year in the UK, a huge, huge number. Currently, the status quo of expense reports, reimbursable expenses, it's broken. It doesn't really work. It's fine to give out company credit cards to, you know, the big directors, but it's not a viable solution for most employees. Handing someone a credit card with a huge excess and huge overhead, it's not viable, it's not smart, it's risky, and it's not necessary really. The current expense management solutions, we believe they're far too reactive, and they only manage the process after the money has already been spent. So you're dealing with the problem after the horse has already bolted. With Soldo, we're trying to, you set out the rules and you say how people are going to receive money, how they can spend money, all from the offset before the money's even been spent. It's no longer an onerous and time-consuming situation. You know, you don't have to go and collect that mountain of receipts, which you then go to your finance department or your accountant in this case, saying, please sort this all out. Soldo allows for complete visibility and brings back a lot more control to the business. Our vision then, or I should say Carlo, our CEO's initial vision, was that currently every employee who joins a business, they're given a set of tools to do the work they need to do. So you might join a company and expect to get, you know, an email provider. You might get a CRM software like Salesforce. You might get a thing like, you know, G Suite, Zendesk, all of that good stuff. You know, you come into an office, you get your desk, you get your computer. Carlo's vision and our vision is that, you know, payments and expenses should be part of that onboarding process. You should come into the company, you get all of that stuff, and also alongside that, it's, you know, here's your Soldo card. Here's your card that you can go and make company-related spending and or expenses so that you don't have to do that on your behalf. And we've made it as easy as possible so that you can go and do that. So you'd have a Soldo card as a user. You'd go out like I did this morning. You'd make an expense. I was posting a load of Christmas cards, funnily enough. You make the expense on the Soldo card. You take a picture of the receipt there and then on the app as it prompts you to do so. And all the while, the entire thing syncs with, naturally, both the phone and the desktop, as well as Xero. But we'll come on to that a little bit later. Effectively, it is a multi-user expense account. You can create cards for all the people you need to. You can create cards even at a department level. You can allocate money and budgets to those different people or cards. And it's versatile for things like travel expenses, e-commerce and online payments, subscription payments, you name it, the Soldo card will work for that. This is where I'm now going to jump into what the actual platform looks like. So hopefully you can still see this. This is the Soldo platform then. This is what it looked like when you will log in. Naturally, there is a user.
We're still looking at PowerPoint.
Okay. How can I make, if I press new share, hopefully this will then, bear with me. Can we see this one?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry for that, guys. So yeah, I've just pressed login. This is what you will see as soon as you log in to Soldo, the desktop side of things. Naturally, there is a user app as well. It's a lot more user focused. I won't go through it today, but as you can expect, it's an app. It's very easy to use. If you've got a smartphone, yeah, you can't really go wrong. The desktop, though, this is where what I would expect the majority of the legwork will happen. What we're looking at right now is a partner account. There are only two things different on a partner account. I'm going to show everyone this anyway, just so that you're all clued up with how it will work. Let me just move this tab here. If I come over on the right-hand side, then when I've logged in, you will see where you expect your login, log out. The only difference with the partner, aka your accountant, is they will have this nice drop-down menu here once they have provision clients, where they will be able to then click into any one of their clients and help them go and manage the Soldo process as well, if the client would like them to. So it allows them that ability to move about and help go and make sure that everyone is up and running with their Soldo. So, you know, you're not left in the lurch. What you see when you log in, though, is a dashboard. It's a basic overview of where any funds are sat in the account at any one time. Where things get slightly more interesting, though, is when we jump into manage and then company. So at Soldo, we have company wallets and we have user wallets, and there's a distinction between the two. Effectively, a company wallet is a holding pen for a particular type of currency. So you can deposit into a Soldo account via GBP, Euro, or USD. They are the three currencies that we support. And effectively, at this level, at a company wallet level, you're not going to see any of the day-to-day transactions. This is where you might see money moving around the account to being sent to different users. You might see some foreign exchange at this level, or you might see some SaaS subscription at this level, so the monthly billing. Any one of these you can click into to get a bit more of an idea of exactly what that transaction was and what was going on there. And I'll touch on these bits a little bit later when I come into the more personal expenses where it's a bit more applicable. Depositing into the account, we support faster payments, so it goes across instantaneously. We also have IBAN and backs and chaps if you're doing Euro or USD deposits. Moving money between the company wallets is doable. Sometimes, however, this may incur some FX. So for any of those guys that you're looking to make expenses in both Europe and or anywhere in the world, actually, for that matter, you can simply use our in-house FX service. Our FX rates are derived from a company called Currency Cloud. It'll be the Currency Cloud rate plus 1% for any FX related transactions within Soldo. I will always say the same thing to any client using Soldo, and that is that if you were to use a Soldo GBP card out and about abroad, you would be charged the Mastercard interbank rate plus 1% for any transaction. To put that into some perspective, if you were to use a regular bank card, I don't know, like a NatWest card, HSBC card, or Barclays card, typically you're going to be charged around 2.75 to 2.8% for a transaction. So actually using a Soldo GBP card abroad really isn't too bad at all. In fact, it's actually quite good. Other ways of going about it, though, if you knew you were going to be spending in France, as an example, for an extended period of time, is you could set up a Euro company wallet and deposit in via Euros, therefore forgoing any FX whatsoever. Or you could do something like what we're looking at here on screen. You could move a lump sum of GBP over to Euros using the Currency Cloud rate. I'm basically trying to let you know that whatever money you need to spend, wherever you're going to be in the world, the Soldo card will facilitate it, and there is ways to make it so that you aren't getting sort of stung with unnecessary FX charges. Because it is a prepaid account then, it means one thing, there are no credit checks, so we get clients up and running very quickly, but also you can set low balance alerts to say, right, when this company wallet dips below a certain amount, we're going to send an email, or an email is going to be sent to these users to make sure that they're aware when it dips below a certain amount. So you're never in a situation where you don't have money, because you can go and top it up again via faster payments. With a lot of our clients and partners, what they'll do is they will just set standing orders, and off the back of their, I guess, financial history, they can say, oh, we're not, December's a relatively low month for us, so we're not going to go and put a load of money into our Soldo accounts, or November typically is a more expensive month, so again, we'll make sure that's there for them to go and use as and when they need to. On the user side things, then, these are the users and then the users' wallets. At
Patrick,
this level,
could I just interject there just for a sec?
Yeah.
Just to say that when the companies we work with, we usually do all the setup for them.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because earlier you were saying that you can let your accountant can also have access. So really the actual experience for the business owner is just that they receive a card and they've had a conversation with us to determine the limits for each person and all that sort of stuff. But they don't necessarily need to do all the nuts and bolts in the background, because it's all the boring stuff. We do all that.
So so the nuts and bolts will be done by yourself. What I'm keen to show people is how that works, but also what it's going to sort of from a business owner's perspective, the level of control he can be confident with on his accounts. So at least from your perspective, he can know that all of the spending can be seen from your side of things. So there's nothing that will go amiss. it will all be within the platform. Anything can be tracked entirely. As well as that, moving money between from the company to the users, sending money to an individual that might need it in a moment's notice, is very easy to do. So me as a user right now, if I was out and about and I had a certain float or I needed some more money, sending money to another individual to make sure that they've always got the funds they need to is very easy to do. So there will never be an opportunity where someone doesn't have the money to go and do what they need to. In the same way, you can, again, setting up things like automatic transfers is a nice thing you can do, whereby you can, again, making sure that people have all the money they need to at any given time.
Can those transfers be requested by the user in the app, like to go to a master user? I'm not sure about that part.
So the transfers cannot be requested. So you couldn't send you couldn't send through the app. You couldn't say, hi, can I please have some money for this? But again, at the moment, because the partner program has been running for just over a year now, we are now at the point where my team, I was a one-man band basically back in January. We are now 7 people. The growth behind the partner product and the clients behind it is enormous. So actually, things are being built into the product every other week, really, and it's actually off the back of both clients and partners' feedback that we're going and making it exactly what people need it to be. We believe at the moment it's a fantastic product, and sort of people using it are letting us know that it is. But again, stuff like that is always stuff we're keen to hear and make sure, if that would be really useful, let's go ahead and get that in there. One thing that I do want to make all of you aware is that the level of control on a Soldo card is vast, but actually it's so vast, in fact, that we make use of something called Mastercard's merchant category codes. So what I mean by that is every single Mastercard outlet in the world is coded as a particular kind of merchant. So as an example, a Hilton would be a hotel, a Costa would be a cafe, and to that extent, what you can do is you can jump into the expense categories within a user and within a card and go and turn on and off all the places where that card will and won't work. So for example, gambling here is turned off. If I went and spent this card in a casino, the card would just decline. So as a business owner, you can give your cards out to all of your employees, whoever needs them, to go and make expenses. You can say what money they have and how much they can spend at any given time, but you can actually also say at what shops they can spend at. If they try and spend somewhere they shouldn't, i.e. if I tried to use this card in a casino, the card would just decline. So the level of control, the safety, the knowledge of where your own company money is at any one time is vast. There's never a case where people, as long as they're set up correctly, will be going and spending where they shouldn't be. We are like any other fintech company going, if a card is lost, stolen, you can lock them. If you're an admin or a business owner and you see a card maybe sort of making an expense they shouldn't, given they were still within their rules, you can admin lock the card, or again, you can admin lock the card to, if they're not adding their receipts like they should be, you can say, right, you've now lost that privilege to use your Soldo card. Another thing I'd be keen to tell you guys as well, and it's what links into the online subscription payments, is the differences we have between online and plastic cards. So as you can set up an online card, which is purely for online expenses, as the name suggests, and a lot of our clients will use it to manage things like subscriptions, your G Suite, your Zendesk, because it can just sit in the background and tick along and do that thing that it needs to. You'll never lose the card, and it will never go out of date. The plastic cards, which for all intents and purposes look exactly the same on this tab, there is more control with, because naturally these ones are being spent out in the real world. So you can say, right, you can have these cards, but actually I don't want you making contactless expenses. You can have these cards, but I'm going to turn off the cash points, or I'm going to say how much you can take out from a cash point in any given day. Or you can actually also go and say, right, I'm going to say in which countries that card will and won't work. So again, the control on the card is vast. From the reporting side of things, again, maybe not the most interesting if Farnell Clark and you guys are going to be looking after that whole thing, but I think it's important for them to know that with us, we have our Xero integration, and therefore we have our Xero daily bank feed. What I mean by that is every single expense you ever make on a Soldo card will appear in Xero if you are integrated regardless. And it will appear as a basic bank transaction would. So you're going to see, when you make the expense, you will see in Xero, as it refreshes multiple times a day, exactly how much it was, who it was that made the expense. It'll have the masked PAN, so the 16-digit code on the card. And it's up to you then on Soldo to collect what we call the enriched data. So the receipt, the tracking categories, adding your notes, the transactions. Once you're happy with all that, you would push it across to Xero. Because the transaction is already there in Xero, it will automatically match them all, and then you go down the list and reconcile where you see fit. So not only does it make your life easier as a client, because all of a sudden it negates the need to ever do an expense report, because you've paid for it on your phone, you've taken a picture of it, you've added your notes again via the phone, and also if you would like to, or you have the access to do so, you can put in your Xero categories, and it can all be done from your phone at the point of sale. Again, from Final Clock side of things, their reconciliation is also extremely easy because all of the data is already there. It's matching transactions that you've spent, but it's also already on Xero. So it seldom does anything go amiss. And yeah, again, expense reports become a thing of the past. Other things I want to show you again that will help with the workflow, so making your life easier as a user when using Soldo, is first of all auto tags. This is something that we brought into the product a couple of months ago, and this is making use of those Mastercard merchant category codes again. So you can set up rules here on Soldo to recognize where a card is being spent. If a card recognizes it's being spent at Hilton, for example, you can set a rule to say, right, if the card is being spent at a hotel, please add in, or please automatically add in, these Xero categories or this tax rate. So again, taking more ownership away from something that you might have to do as a user. So again, it's automating that process so that you can literally just spend the card. And if you've got your auto tags in place, it would be a case of taking a picture of a receipt, adding a note, and that's everything you'd ever need to do. But again, Final Clerk will run you through how you would set this up and what's going to work for your business, dependent on your Xero category codes when you integrate it via your lists. There are a couple of other things I quickly want to run through as a user, and that is that if you have, you can make use of non-nominative cards and non-nominative users. And what I mean by that is you could set up a user that doesn't necessarily have a real name. So you can see here that my first name, Patrick Hall. What you could do is just set up a user and call it contractor, or call it marketing budget, for example, and that is what will print on the very front of the card. So with the contractor example, if you had a contractor within the business, you can simply set up a user called contractor, put in a phone number here and an email address for that contractor, and they can go out and use that card. If that person then left the business, you could retain that very same card, edit the phone number and email address here to a new contractor coming in, and they can go and use that same card. So a lot of examples that we'll see is that with a number of our clients, they'll have a user or a card named Petty Cash, and that can be used by a couple people within the business, so that people can share that card in that instance. Each user and each card can be given a different permission. So within the account, if you are setting up your business, naturally, if you're going to be overseeing the whole thing, you can give yourself a level of permission, a level of access, so that you can oversee the whole account. For run-of-the-mill stock employee, they can come in as just an employee, and it effectively means that their view of Soldo when they log in would be different to this. They wouldn't be able to see any of the configure tab to go and sort of change their rules, but they would be able to see the expenses they're making, and could be able to go and sort of edit their expenses to make sure that everything is as they need it to be. Again, our integration with Xero is market leading. The Xero daily bank feed is a huge help for us. And one thing that is actually on the horizon, which has been really great for us actually, but again, I guess not so great for everyone else, is PSD2 and the changes that are coming in early March, which effectively means that the Yodlee bank feeds are being switched off which is going to affect a vast number of businesses throughout the UK. All of a sudden, your bank feeds are not going to work, and it basically means that if you did have a number of credit cards within the business, you're going to have to revert back to the manual uploading of CSV exports into Xero. With Soldo, the nice thing is that our bank feed is completely compliant. We will see no disruption whatsoever on the back of PSD2, and actually it's seen a huge drive, an influx of clients to the platform, because the headache and the admin that comes along with all of the manual imports into Xero all of a sudden is worth its weight in gold to just jump onto Soldo, and it solves that problem. We've actually got another webinar, which I will, by all means, you guys will be involved with, specifically on PSD2, because it is an enormous mountain and a huge thing that's going to affect everyone, which obviously everyone is more than welcome to come and join. But in terms of Soldo and the use of it, that's as far as I think I want to go right now. I think the fact that Farnell Clark are going to sort of help get set up and get any client on their feet that's amazing. You'll be able to basically get going on Soldo and get using it as soon as you've got a card out and about. You're ready to rock and roll instantaneously. I'd not used anything like it before I joined Soldo, and it really is a game changer. All of a sudden, all of my expenses are not out of my own pocket. My expenses are complete 5 seconds after I've completed any transaction, and my life in terms of my expenses side of things, specifically given the nature of the job that I do, but again, everyone in the business has one, it's become so much easier. I'm happy to leave that there for now, as I don't want this to run on for too long, but if there's anything else you guys need.
Could you just have a quick word on the cost of using
costs, of course, apologies. Yeah, so for you guys to use the partner account as a client through your partner, aka Farnell Clark, currently it is £2.50 per month per card. I say currently because that is going to change come the new year in January. Our prices will revert up back to £3.50 a month per card. As an end user, if you were to come to us directly, currently it is £4. In January, that changes to £5. So basically everything shifts up by £1. We were basically running this discount for a long time now, and come the new year, we are reverting back to what is our old pricing structure. So as a client to use the account, it is £3.50 a month per card if you come through Farnell Clark.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a great product, and you need to get it's one thing to remember. It's a process, it's a buy-in, because you've got your solution with your management of the funds there, and giving the trust to your employees, but there's also a process and a buy-in, like you said, uploading the receipts, because it's important part of the whole workflow to make sure we can claim the VAT back.
Yeah, and with anything, there's always going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I know it's a bit sort of corny to say, but this is sort of a disrupting thing. We're trying to break the status quo sort of thing. So that there is a level of education that is needed, and that is that if you're now being given a Soldo card, that's employee empowerment. You no longer have to spend your own money, but along with that, it means that you're going to have to do something in return. Make sure we're adding receipts, and once you're used to the workflow, and it's not hard to do, but there is that element of
it's more of a transfer of effort
exactly,
rather than extra effort, because before you were doing it all yourself, and while that might be easier at the time, you still have to try and recover it and do your expense report and haggle over what you didn't do. So it's more just retraining yourself to do a little bit more effort when you buy stuff, just snap the receipts, but then, as you said, expense reports go away early.
The time it saves you on the back end is well worth the sort of 5 minutes it might at the point of transaction, sort of just code it all up there on your phone quickly.
Cool. And what's on your roadmap for next year? Because obviously there are other products out there, aren't there? And it's
the roadmap for next year. So we've been having lots of conversations with our product team. There are a couple of things that we will be bringing into the product. One of the big ones that I've been rooting for a long time now is the ability to split receipts. So sort of all of like OCR technology to say, right, there's the receipt. Obviously, it's got a number of different transaction on. Let's be able to split that out to make sure that you don't have to go and sort of buy things in a separate process. So that is
Oh, wow. So just one part of that whole receipt.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Something that is being brought out, which may be of slight interest to you guys. I know you're very much big Xero users. Our QuickBooks integration is due to be fully fledged by the time QuickBooks Connect comes around, which is going to be very early March. So that's, as you can see on the screen, that's another big one that we're working towards. But again, the stuff that's coming into the partner program is there's a lot of things that are sort of being introduced, and we're trying to tick them off as and when they come. If I would just revert back to what I said earlier, and that is that honestly, in January, I was a one-man band. We are now 7, nearly 8 people. The level of the level of support and the level of importance that's been given to this area of the business is amazing, really. And because of it, we've seen like a massive influx of both clients, partners. So again, this is only going to be given more and more attention as we go down the line.
Cool.
Are there any other major questions on your side of things?
No, I think, well, I'm good, and thank you for obviously joining us.
Well, yeah, sorry. I mean, I jumped in Glenn's stay, so I hope I wasn't too bad. But yeah.
I think you've passed. You've passed. You're fine.
Cool. All right then.
Yeah, so people can get in touch with us if they want to know more about the cards and get them hooked up.
Yeah, by all means. You guys, for anyone listening, the nice thing is that Farnell Clark will have their own unique link so that they can sort of provision you straight away. So yeah, get in touch with the guys at Farnell Clark and they will be able to facilitate that, no problem.
Great, lovely.
All right.
Thank you again, Patrick.
Thank you very much for having me.
For joining us.